All right, a little bit interrupted there. We ordered a pizza tonight. Moving on, let's see. I was talking about Las Vegas and Atlanta. Atlanta is depending on whether or not Atlanta is a good team, right? Atlanta started out on a 0-5. Then they beat Minnesota. Minnesota also a wishy-washy. Are they good or are they bad? That was 40-23. Okay, so the first five games, they scored 38, 40, 30, 30, and the first five games they scored 25, 39, 26, 16, and 16. So they kind of started off with a decent offense. Then they got beat up by Carolina, which has a good defense, and Green Bay, which had a better defense in the beginning of their season. I lean towards Atlanta being a bad team. And this is kind of why I'm putting this in the middle category. I can't just immediately pick Vegas to win. I want Vegas to win. Take Vegas to win minus the 3 points. It's only a 3-point spread. I like it. If you like Atlanta, take Atlanta plus the 3. It actually probably worked out in your favor just to take Atlanta as the money line since it's only a 3-point game. The money line on the game is positive 140, so you're going to win a slightly more money going with a positive 140 in regards to a negative 110. I don't like Atlanta to win the game, but I put it in the middle. I feel like Las Vegas wins that game. Another middle game is Green Bay and Chicago. Obviously, we know by now that I'm a Bears fan. I don't think the Bears win this game. I'm not going there at all with this game. The reason why I put it in the middle is the plus 8.5 on the Bears. Recently, the Bears have not covered. So I can't say, oh, they're going to score a whole bunch. I can say that the defense is actually going to do something. The defense is the only thing holding this team together. The offense is wasting the defensive talent here, though. Green Bay, overall pretty good offensively. Defensively, I put them in kind of the bad defensive side. You could put them on the good defensive side. I think they're kind of a bad defense. I would take Bears plus the 8.5. It's kind of high for such a good defense. As far as the over-under 45, just move on. I'm not going to tell you to bet that. Tennessee, Indianapolis. I am growing less fond of Tennessee and more fond of Indianapolis, and that's why I put it in the middle. As far as the trending go, Tennessee has lost 3 of the last 5, and they've been kind of close games. Indianapolis has won 4 of their last 5, and I think is kind of catching their stride on offense. Phillip Rivers is good for a couple of interceptions, but he's also good for a couple of touchdowns. Defensively, they're solid. I kind of pictured Indianapolis and the Bears being the same team, except for Indianapolis can actually score some points. I'm actually leaning towards Indianapolis to win this game. Tennessee Indianapolis is favorited by 3. I like that. I like Indianapolis -3. However, you want to be careful with the -3. I wish it was 2.5 with the -3. If they win by a field goal, it's actually a push. So they would actually have to win by 4. So that's where it's kind of in the middle. If you were to parlay the -180 and pick them to win straight out, if you did a -180 and a -110, like another over-under or something else, you would come up with a positive money line. Let me give you an accurate number. If I took the New England or the Arizona Cardinals minus the 2.5, and I would probably make this bet. It's something I'm going to consider. I'm making my own bet here. In Indianapolis with a -167. So a negative 167. I don't know if you can see that. We could trying to do a YouTube there. The -167 and a -110 actually comes out to be a positive 206. So yeah, 100 wins you 206 minus your bet. So you come out with $106. 10 would win you $20.60. $1 would win you $2.06 minus your wager. You gotta include your wager in that. So I kind of like putting Indianapolis in there, mix it in. Los Angeles Chargers and Buffalo is another middle game. Los Angeles Chargers, I don't really like them. They're 3-7. Buffalo, I was on their bandwagon in the beginning of the year. I thought that they were going to be better than they are. Last 5, though, they're only two out of their last 5 won. I'm sorry. They're 3. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong team there. They're 3 out of the last 5, and Los Angeles Chargers are 2 out of the last 5. A lot of people are putting a lot of praise on this Justin Herbert, which he is doing good. He's got 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Josh Allen is 21 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So if we go down to really, so what's the problem with the Chargers? The Chargers are letting up 27 points and only scoring 26, which the Bills are scoring 27 and letting up 26. So this is going to be like a very close game. I put it in the middle only because I kind of just don't feel like that the Chargers can win. When I immediately looked at the game, my very first feeling was Buffalo's going to beat the Chargers. And then when I looked more into it, I'm like, it's going to be close. And a lot of times, if I just go off my first bet, it's actually been my best. If I overanalyze it, sometimes it falls apart, but if I just go, bam, and then it's like, I got it. And those are my middle games. We got stay away games. I'm going to go real quick. Houston, Detroit, New York Giants, Cincinnati, and Washington, Dallas. Those 3 games, they're stay away games for the exact same 3 reasons. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 6 bad teams playing against, 3 bad teams versus 3 other bad teams. You got a total of 6 bad teams in 3 different games. Once again, Houston, Detroit, Washington, Dallas, and New York Giants, Cincinnati. I don't know how to analyze the games, and I don't really like saying it, but they're just all 3 terrible, terrible teams. So we're just going to move ahead on it. Oh, real quick. Like the Giants are 3-7. Cincinnati's 2-7-1. Houston has fallen 3-7. Detroit 4-6. And New York Giants New York Giants are 3-7. Cincinnati is 2-7-1. What was the other game? Oh, Washington, Dallas. Washington football team and Dallas Cowboys are both 3-7. Who knows? The last game I put as a stay away game is kind of an interesting one because I want to watch this game. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be the Baltimore at Pittsburgh game. They were originally scheduled for the Thursday night Thanksgiving, 8:20, 7:20, 8:20 Eastern Time, 7:20 Central. They were originally the night game, and this would have been a really fun game to cap off the night. Baltimore has like 5 or 6 COVID players, so that's one reason to stay away from it. It was a stay away game though before that, because you have the undefeated Steelers, and a lot of people are putting a lot of Steeler hate. I'm personally a Steelers fan. A lot of people are putting Steeler hate because the Steelers have beat, let's just take a look at their schedule. It's because of the schedule. That they beat the Giants, Denver, Houston, Philly, Cleveland. They did beat Tennessee. They beat Baltimore, which are the 2 good teams there. But then they beat Dallas, Cincinnati, Jacksonville. None of those teams were good, and I have to admit that. But they handled them. They handle them just as much as you would want them to handle them. If you go to like one of your favorite teams, everybody likes Kansas City. I just want to run off Kansas City real quick, and I'm just gonna make a point that even your good teams play bad teams. Kansas City has beat Houston, Chargers. Baltimore is a good team. New England's bad. Vegas is okay, and they lost. Denver, the Jets, Carolina, bad team. And they beat Las Vegas, which is a mediocre team. So you look at all these, everybody has bad schedule. I mean, they have good, there are some teams that have to go through other really good teams, but most teams have a couple of stinkers that they could just put a check mark. The Steelers have Ben Roethlisberger, who is having a good comeback year. Last year he was injured. And you have to notice that their defense is doing kind of what you need them to do. They're holding these teams to like under 24 points. As a matter of fact, only Philadelphia scored over 24 points. They scored 29 points. Every other team has scored 24 or less points versus Pittsburgh. And let's see, Tennessee scored 24, Baltimore scored 24. Every other team has scored 21 or less. So Baltimore or Pittsburgh is holding the teams to low scoring. And isn't it kind of like what a good team does? They're a good team every year. They're a solid team every year. And there's no reason not to pick them. I can see why you don't like them. They don't win Super Bowls very often. Actually, I think over the years they have. Recently, they haven't. They're a better team historically with as far as winning Super Bowls and stuff like that. Recently, they haven't. But until Big Ben is out, I'm a Steelers fan. I think the Steelers will remain a good, solid team for another 2-3 years to come. And the reason why I put it as a stay away game, though, they're going up against Baltimore, another good team. And this is kind of one of the stayaways where I'm not really certain. I'm not really certain in how to bet it because they're two good teams. They're also two good defenses. Baltimore also has a good defense. So you have two good defenses against what could be two good offenses. Personally, I think Steelers win this game like 30-21. Lamar Jackson. He's a run first type of guy. He leads Baltimore. He leads Baltimore in rushing. Let me just pull up a stat here. He is Baltimore's leading rusher with 575 yards on 103 carries and 3 touchdowns. So if Lamar Jackson isn't running, then nobody's running on their team. Pittsburgh Steelers are holding teams to 103 yards on average rushing yards allowed per game. So basically, Pittsburgh is going to be able to make this a one-dimensional game. And it's going to come down to, can Lamar Jackson pass? He can. He's actually a very accurate passer. 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's finding trouble finding the end zone this year, but he's proven himself to be an accurate passer. The spread is -4. I think they're expecting this to be a pretty low-scoring game. They're predicting 24-19, something like that. I'm picking 27. I said 27-21. I think originally the over/under. They're not even giving me one on this. Let's see if my other app has an over/under for you. They have an over/under. DraftKings has an over/under at 45. If Baltimore kicks it into gear, it's going to go with the over. If not, it's going to go with the under. Steelers, they can easily put up 20, 25, 26 points. However, Baltimore, is only letting up 237 pass yards per game. That's pretty good. Rushing yards per game, 116. That's also pretty good. Averaging 19 points a game allowed. That's pretty good. Overall, they're actually pretty comparable teams. They're so comparable Pittsburgh 29 points per game, Baltimore 26 points per game. They're so comparable. I say to stay away from it, enjoy it, and watch it. But if you really want to bet on it, take the Steelers minus the. I say I'm even like back and forth on what you should do with it. Take the Steelers minus the 4 with the under. If you don't like my bet there, take Baltimore plus 4 with the over. if you really want the Steelers to lose, just go the opposite. I wouldn't blame you. Only because it's it's an even game. Go whichever direction you want. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. Betting from home. My name is Dave Jones. You could tweet me at betting_home87. myhomebet.com. You can find me on YouTube and all your favorite podcast apps. And good night and good luck. Happy holidays.